hearing anything in your right ear?
It's kicking.
You hearing it in
Big
both
time.
ears?
Yeah.
Is it blowing your head out?
Yeah. That's incredible. That's great. I like that.
Is that a little lower?
Yeah, that's not too bad.
Okay.
I can still hear my teeth move, basically. That's awesome. Hey.
There we go.
All right.
New equipment here at Riverwest
It's
Radio.
great.
You're listening to riverwestradio.com. You're listening to Extempor Radio.
The one
on
and only.
riverwestradio.com. My name's Brendan O'Day. I'm the producer of this show sometimes. Just one show. The things you'll hear over the next hour represent the views of Extempor Radio, our hosts, our guests, and any other people you hear making them. All opinions and quotations in no way represent Riverwest Radio and are the sole responsibility of the producer, guests, and callers. Riverwest Radio is not liable for any legal issues arising from the content of this program. You have been warned.
Absolutely.
There you go.
Beware.
That's our show for tonight.
That's it.
You have a great night.
Pack it up.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. All right. So,
I'm Jason Evans.
that's Jason Evans
That's
over
me.
there. This is Brendan O'Day. We're here to talk about the fun things that are comedy.
Yeah. Always.
I can feel the fun things
It's fun, man.
happening right now.
It's fun.
Last night, Sunday night, Comedy Conclave at Rounding Third. If you missed it, a spirited discussion about the construct of a comedy set, which was not pre-planned or predisposed in any way, and it was quite impressive. The different takes people had on things,
Okay.
and the suggestion that people that propose a certain idea could see a pattern, and those that didn't espouse that idea just couldn't see the pattern.
So it was a pattern of your comedy set?
Well, it was kind of like taking what if let's say you just there was an idea that the time that you really start to hit a stride in comedy, it's when you've created an arc, like a 3-act arc, almost like a play.
Gotcha.
Like you've got introduction of characters or ideas in this part, and then you create conflict in the second act, and
Gotcha.
you have resolution in the third act.
Okay.
And whereas I don't disagree that can happen in a comedy set, certainly, and I think the best example was given last night by Ryan Lowe, who was espousing this theory, is Christopher Titus.
Okay.
Christopher Titus does a very rehearsed act, but it's also very character driven.
Mm-hmm.
He talks about his act from 7, 8, 9, 10, maybe 15 years ago was about his dad.
Yeah.
They built an entire TV show around it, starring Chris Titus and Stacy Keach. Now he's on his mom. So now he introduces his mom in the beginning. He introduces how he was around his mom, and then he moves on to the conflicts that they had, and then he gets to the resolution that they had. Well, that's easy to do. I'm not going to say easy to do. It's not easy to do and be funny, but it's possible and even almost natural in its construct to function much like a play, much like a one-man play or something.
So at that point, I don't see it much as a set as in an act or a performance. You know what I mean?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, not that it takes it out of the contents of comedy, because I don't see it as a set anymore. I think, speaking for myself, I want my set to someday turn into a full-blown performance, or an act, you know, with multiple layers, like you said, with characters and things of that sort. That's what I aspire to. Right now, I consider, you know, obviously what I have is a set, because it's so small and I'm working on it, but, you know, I can see that in a sense.
Yeah, I agree. But the idea that that's like the height of comedy, because I guess I just don't consider it to be, because I would say, you know, probably one of my favorite performers to date is Ron White.
Yeah.
Primarily because he is an amazing storyteller. But none of his stories introduce a baseline topic or an area of discussion. They then don't introduce conflict and then result in some resolution.
But it's still, I consider his thing an act, or I consider him more stand-up. He's, you know, he discusses he discusses certain, you know, he actually has jokes, you know, with they sound like stories, but they're really structured as jokes, but he pulls them off so well, and he's such a professional that it looks like he's telling regular stories, but every one of his stories has a setup, middle, and a punch if you listen to it.
Yeah, I think so. I would agree with that assessment, but I also and if there is some, one of the things that came up was the idea that certainly as we build our sets, one of the cool things about working them out is you develop a flow and order of the jokes, and that if you take them out of that order, they don't work as well.
Yeah.
And certainly someone who's really good at this can start to almost organically order their set to make it work out. And I use the example of Kokonis, Eric Kokonis, a local comedian here, being at the Comedy Cafe. And he was there, he was hosting, he had his 20 minutes up front or 15 minutes up front, and he was trying some newer jokes. And he went for about 5 minutes with the newer material, and it wasn't selling. They weren't buying it. And I saw him shift gears. I physically saw him change his physical position and demeanor and the way he was carrying himself. And he went right into some stuff that he knows works every single time.
Yeah.
And he literally, because I don't think what he hadn't done yet was worked out his physical posturing in selling these new jokes.
Well, of course, yeah, that comes.
He hadn't gotten that far yet.
Yeah, that comes with time.
He had gotten far enough with that whole total package on that older material, but it was just interesting to see that when he decided to switch gears and do the more familiar material, everything fell into place.
Yeah.
And they immediately started laughing. That was impressive to watch happen, because that means it's as much about the order and the confidence and the comfortability that the performer has in the material.
Absolutely.
To be able to sell that material and have it go out like that.
I was witness to that transformation with myself with my material, where you get such a so comfortable with it, it starts to project to the audience that, oh wow, this guy is ready to roll. He's ready to rock and roll on stage. He knows his stuff. He knows, where when you're trying out newer stuff, I'd imagine you don't have that same sort of confidence coming through as you would if you're doing your regular set.
Sure. So, I'm a little, I guess I'm intrigued by the whole, I don't know if maybe I'm just too shallow to see the depths of which these I wish I could bring Mitch Hedberg back from the dead.
Yeah.
And because I brought up him as an example of a guy who's not really. It's a series of non sequiturs, and it was immediately defended that no, look, he completely exposes himself, and yeah, he does. That's it. He completely exposes himself. What's the resolution? What's the conflict? Where was the conflict introduced? One of my least favorite things that comedians will do is the whole thing of the hey, let me tell you a little bit about myself.
Yeah.
It's just another weak device.
Yeah.
It all started off with, this is funny because it all started off with the discussion of transitions in the word segue, and I don't know why people even tolerate. I'd boo a guy off the stage who goes, so now I'm going to talk about Batman because I don't have any segues.
Yeah.
It's like, you deserve to be shot for that because you're a weak and below average performer. And so that's what got into the discussion of ordering things and then building this thing. And like I say, I'm not gonna disagree that that's one type of performance, but I am gonna disagree. And this is the other thing. I said, well, that can happen also when you have time to develop character, to introduce conflict, and then resolve it. But that comes when you have an audience.
Yeah.
When Carlin shows up at the Hollywood Bowl and has 8,000 fans sitting there in the seats, hanging on every word, of course they're going to.
Yeah.
They're going to listen to whatever arc he's creating, but they're not. If you're a new performer, I mean, so the opportunity to develop and produce that kind of a thing, I don't know if that's that's something that I think might come out of a career of performing, not so much necessarily what your normal everyday thing is. So anyway, that's that. That's what we talked about at the conclave last night. We then particularly had a spectacular Sunday open mic, dangerously strong open mic at Rounding Third. That was great.
And that conclave is the last Sunday of every month, correct?
It's the last Sunday of every month.
6:30?
And it's always kind of funny, the number of people that say 6 o'clock.
6 o'clock.
It's like kind of funny, the number of people that say, oh, I didn't know what was going on. Or, oh, I didn't know what the topic was. And
how long has it been going on now? 4 months, 5 months?
I think 5 or 6 months
okay,
now.
Yeah.
So it's a good thing. I think there were 6 of them, but that included one up in Appleton. When Kokonis.
And his website's incredible. It has all the past podcasts on it.
Yeah.
From all the conclaves. So if you're not sure what you're getting into, you can always go there, listen, and then find out what it's all about. And it's kind of neat. It's neat to talk shop. I went to my first one last month. I thought it was a lot of fun.
ComedyConclave.com.
Yeah.
Is the website on that. You can learn what we're talking about in Milwaukee comedy. And the cool thing is, it's comedians talking about comedy. It's people who are interested in comedy talking about comedy. And that is a wonderful and amazing thing. That's a great thing.
And it's captured. I mean, comics do that all the time at open mic shows at the back room. But
yeah.
Excuse me, this is more structured. You know what I mean? You get to actually...
Yeah, we've got a topic in mind generally coming in. And I think last night was very interesting in that the topic wasn't released and wasn't preset. So it was just the direction that the discussion took, and it created a really vibrant...
That's cool.
and engaging conversation. I'd like to personally thank Ryan Lowe for not playing with the salt and pepper shakers during the discussion. He was significantly entertained and interested enough to engage and connect with the discussion. So thank you, Mr. Lowe, for your extremely cogent and defensible positions and contributions. It was
impressive.
Wonderful. So if you'd like to hear me talk for 40 out of 60 minutes. No, I talk a lot during the conclave, but it's just the funny thing is there's not. I think that's one of those things where people can tend to. Those are the people that are really buying comedy, really deep into comedy. They're willing to sit around and talk about it and dissect it and think about it. And I find it always just an interesting exercise to draw out, what kind of opinions we can draw out on things. So I know I learn a lot from it. So so that happened.
Cool.
Coming up, shows. What do you got coming up? Anything coming up?
On the 8th of November, I have Papa's Pub.
Papa's Pub, second Thursday of the month, back to the normal format of the second Thursday of every month. Papa's Pub, 77th and Burleigh in Wauwatosa, actually Milwaukee, Wisconsin, across the street from Wauwatosa, Wisconsin.
$10 to get in.
$10 tickets and a fabulous comedy show. And you get Mike Toomey back, correct?
No, I get Johnny Beaner.
Oh, you get Johnny Beaner?
I am hosting Johnny Beaner and Michael D. Which is amazing. It's going to be an amazing
That is amazing
show.
Hair on Michael D.
He's awesome. Yeah, he's awesome.
Michael D will be in house at Papa's Social Club along with Johnny Beaner and our
special
own
guest
Jason Evans.
Bill Vegos, and I will be hosting.
Outstanding.
It will be a good time, I guarantee
great show.
it.
Yeah, that'll be excellent.
It's a good room. Great food.
That's coming up on November 8th. That's an 8 p.m. show. Call Papa's Pub for tickets or go to caricaturesandcomedy.com. That does not spell, Google that word, caricaturesandcomedy.com. That's Bill Bagos' website. And you can buy tickets right on the website and get that in advance. And I believe there are food and show packages.
Yeah,
so
packages.
Dinner and show packages available for you.
Which is great.
Check that out. Coming up on November 23rd and 24th, we have the introduction of the Red, White, and Blue Comedy Tour. That's going to take place on Friday, the 23rd in Dundee, Wisconsin.
Hey, mate.
At the Roadhouse Bar and Grill, right on Highway 67 in Dundee. Just follow 67 through. Right when you're turning north on 67, you'll drive right past the Roadhouse. Those tickets are going to be $10. There are going to be VIP seats for $50, and check that out and come on up and enjoy the show. It's going to be a good time. Then on Saturday, the 24th, these are the Friday and Saturday after Thanksgiving. Saturday the 24th, we will be at the Astor Hotel for 2 shows, 7 and 9:30 at the Astor Hotel. Friday the 24th, I keep turning those 2 numbers around, for the second of the introductory Red, White, and Blue Comedy Tour shows. Those are going to be amazing. Big production, big fun stuff. And
awesome.
Tickets there, $15 a seat, and VIP seats are $100. We'll have 100 VIP seats. Trying to snap up $10,000 for the vets here in Milwaukee, so we can make a real impact on the veteran groups that are going to be the beneficiaries of the show. So those are the next big things coming up. And other than that, we've got 17 minutes deep into the show before we got to plug in stuff. That's great.
That's great. Good times.
So. We're dangerously close. We've got one more edition of the... I guess we have 2 more editions of Extempore Radio before the election.
Yes.
Before the big election night. And you'll probably be able to hear some early election estimates on the Cast of Killers radio show on Tuesday the 6th. That'll be a great time. You get to hear what... comedians have to say about politicians. There's always something good. We say nothing but good things.
I love politicians. I want to be one.
Yeah, I think that's probably the best place for comedians to be.
Yeah.
Is in politics. Al Franken's really the only guy recently who's managed to swing that and pull that off.
Yeah.
I find him to be something of an idiot, but he's made some pretty stupid votes and
his characters on SNL were pretty close to his personality.
Pretty much, yeah. I think my favorite of all time was when he actually covered a presidential election. I think it was 1992. Bush first versus Clinton, and Ross Perot thrown into the mix. And he was wearing a satellite dish and was covering the election and got struck by lightning with a backpack satellite dish on his back. So that was kind of interesting.
Well, the only thing I got to say about it is everyone should go out there, whoever you're voting for, it doesn't matter, because it's important to go out and just vote.
Why is that?
Whether you're voting or not.
Why is it important to vote?
I think it's important. Well, for me, I'll talk about myself. It's important to me because I know that in a lot of countries, people risk their lives to vote. And in this country, we don't even have to. So that does it for me. You know, if I can't take my lazy butt,
it's not an extreme sport.
if I can't take my lazy butt down,
you're down for anything that doesn't involve being an extreme sport, pretty much.
No, I'm saying that, you know, there's people in lines. I don't know where I saw it, in Iraq or whatever, one of the countries we freed over there. They're standing in line and they're getting blown up, and people are shooting at them, and they're standing in line waiting to vote, which shows you, or shows me, how important it is to people to actually have a say somewhat in what's going on in their country. And if I can't, that kind of motivates me to go to the polls every time when I'm like, oh, I'm tired.
What if we instituted a policy that said if you don't vote, you get a fine? Would you be in favor of that?
No.
That's the rule in Australia.
Really?
If you don't vote, you get fined.
No, I think it's a freedom of choice type thing.
So, and then what about early voting? How do you feel on early voting?
I don't like that at all.
Yeah.
Me personally, it's kind of scary to me. It seems, and this is just coming from me, but it seems kind of loose. Like,
doesn't it seem like there's an opportunity for some
absolutely
some misvoting?
Absolutely. And anyways, I like to take my ballot, stick it in the machine physically, and watch it be counted. Mm-hmm. That's just how I am.
Sure.
I've always liked that. It's just something that I like to look at and watch and make sure it's in there, it's counted, and everything's good.
Sure. Another thing I find weird about the early voting is you have to take your ballot, fold it up, put it in an envelope, and put your name on it.
I heard.
So, ostensibly, the whole anonymous voting thing then kind of gets a little bit weaker.
Yeah.
But the other thing that I find interesting is I don't know why that person would care, but the idea that all that's required to go vote like that.
Yeah, is a utility bill, correct?
Utility bill.
Yeah, which you could easily make up one on Photoshop or.
Sure, and the only the reason we can speak so authoritatively about that is that a representative from a southern state's son, who was the head of his campaign, actually described that to a person coming to work for their campaign. Said, "Oh yeah, people could easily."
I mean,
show up for early voting and do it.
Honestly, people can do that with anything. I mean, they could do it with driver's license and everything like that, but it's a little bit harder with a driver's license than it would be with,
Yeah, I mean, the difference between a Microsoft Word document printed on your computer and a Wisconsin embossed driver's license that's got watermarks and special background material and a barcode on the back that is unique, and that if we would take that next step of actually scanning the barcode that's on the back of your driver's license or reading the magnetic strip that's on your driver's license and having that be like a lockout to voting, that once that scanner has been read and used, you can't even go anywhere else and vote. So
that's another thing I always do when I go in there. I like to see them go through the roster and make sure.
Check you off.
I always check my my wife, and she checks me when she's going to vote to make sure no one, like my twin, has gone in and voted before me.
Sure.
Like they usually do or have done in huge school buses 2 minutes before the polls close.
Sure. And I find
with
it
lists,
interesting.
You are Bob Evans.
Yeah.
You are Jason Evans.
Yeah. So we've got a big election coming up. Absolutely nothing is going to change. Absolutely, the difference between these two guys is so insignificant that it's all just come down to reproductive health issues. Is basically what I can discern as
and
the primary.
Hurricanes. No.
Well, the president today flew to Florida to campaign and then canceled his campaign and flew back to Washington at 11:30 this morning instead of 1:30 this morning.
He's monitoring.
1:30 this afternoon because he needed to be present to monitor the situation of the weather.
And you know what? Romney did the same thing. He canceled his. He was supposed to be at State Fair
Yeah, I think it was all because they didn't want to appear to be campaigning while people were suffering.
But he's monitoring too.
Is he monitoring the
sure
situation?
He is. Why wouldn't he?
Yeah,
I was monitoring the situation.
I think it's funny that I think the most obvious joke that comes out of this is a recall back to the earlier stages of Romney's
Don't
introduction.
use the word recall around here.
Oh well, no,
loosely.
that's right. I thought it was particularly appropriate and sentimental.
Hey.
But the jokes, of course, that are coming out well, it's, everybody will just evacuate to their second or third home, and they'll be able to.
That's funny.
I'm sure they have somewhere else to go.
Yeah.
Not in the path of the storm.
That's terrible. Hopefully, we'll be seeing some of that storm come through here. It looked like it from the radar.
Well, and it's tracking a little bit different. We'll get some of the residual now. It doesn't look
that
like
always blows my mind how that it's always done that. It's always blown my mind how it hits the coast, and then a couple days, maybe a day and a half, it blows through our state, and you're like, wow, this is amazing. It's like we were hearing about it, and now it's here.
Well, Katrina particularly, I had a garden, and I grew some amazing vegetables that year because of that beautiful hurricane. Beautiful hurricane rain is a little different than the normal plains rain that we normally get around here.
Yeah.
So sorry for all you who suffered in Houston and New Orleans and Gulf coasts of Alabama and Mississippi. But thank you, Katrina, for the amazing tomatoes and bok choy.
I guess then it would also be not very appropriate to say that that's my second favorite natural disaster. I guess that wouldn't be really appropriate.
No, I don't know why that would be inappropriate. We're talking about natural disasters. In fact, now would be the time. So that's your second favorite.
Yeah,
what's your first favorite?
Tsunamis.
The tsunami is the first. Is that just because of its sheer killing power, or
no? It doesn't have anything to do with killing. It's just sheer power.
Just amazing power.
Amazing power, yeah.
So, there you
and
go.
now, 30-foot, 50-foot, 100-foot wall of water.
It's amazing, isn't
flying into,
Well, and it's one of those things where it's like, seriously, that's you see the thing in India, 2004, I think that was, where people are just it's a beautiful day, sun's up and everything, and you see this white line on the horizon. Someone's just shooting out their balcony window, like, oh, look at all the beautiful people on the beach. This is so cute. This is so cool, and then all of a sudden it's just it's just growing and growing, and it just looks like a wave coming in. Yeah. And it's up the beach, it's up over the beach wall, it's up across the street, it's coming through the terrace of the resort, it's now filling the resort. And to see that happen and the devastation that one event wreaked. Okay, so then you come forward to 2011 and you see the destruction in Japan.
Yeah.
With that earthquake.
Yeah, and they were actually the most prepared people on the face of the planet.
Living every day with tsunami warnings.
They are miracle monsters at that. I mean, I was watching those films with those high rises, those things just shaking 3 feet in either direction, going, I love the Japanese. They're just amazing people, man. It's just amazing.
Amazing feats of engineering that have gotten them in the place
and
for
the
that,
amount of people that were dead that unfortunately passed away because of that. The fact that so many others lived is absolutely a miracle of their technology and what they do.
So then for you, is the earthquake tsunami combination kind of like a disaster, sensory overload? Is that like the most amazing thing ever?
You know what? That other one that you mentioned in India, I think it was, or whatever. Yeah. They dove where the epicenter of that was, and they said, and I forgot the exact amount, but it was incredible that the surface underneath the water moved upwards 300 feet or some incredible amount of number, unbelievable.
That's a fairly substantial plate shift.
And that's what moved the weight of the water. That weight of the water moving up caused the tsunami.
Yeah, I think it's actually it's like where the plate, one goes under the other. That drops that 300 feet. And what it is, it's the water up here falling that 300 feet, and then that creates that push of
it's
water
amazing.
pushes that new wall of water away, and then it, of course, sloshes back and fills back in.
I never really realized until because I used to scuba dive a long time ago when I was a kid.
Cool. Something I've never done.
And I never realized the actual weight of water until you've scuba dived. I mean, you can toss the numbers around, but until you feel it.
Yeah.
Like, because in diving, when every 10 feet you got to equalize, and it can be painful if you haven't equalized before. But that is 10 feet, I think they said, was the weight of 2 school buses on your head. That's the weight of water that is above you at that time, which is amazing to me. That, that's why you have to equalize,
Sure.
And you can blow out your eardrums if you don't know how to do that properly.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it was interesting that water weighs that much. So when you see that, if you're on a beach or in one of those wave pools, I was at a wave pool this summer at Noah's Ark. Those little 3-foot waves will knock you straight on your back.
Oh, yeah.
Just those little tiny,
Sure. Yeah.
So it's amazing.
Yeah, I never went down the scuba diving road. I've jumped out of airplanes a couple of times, 3 times now. I have. I like snorkeling.
Yeah, me too.
Hold my breath a long time, get to about 10 feet, but that's about it.
Yeah.
That's about all you can take. And wow. Yes, the challenge I've always had. I'm a certified lifeguard, and there's a lot of destructive power with water.
Yes.
And that's what always has kind of got me with water.
There's no forgiveness with water.
No,
it's pretty much you're dead.
Yeah.
If something goes wrong underneath there. When I went for my first test dive after doing the test, the word test, they did a test dive in a quarry at the time, and you had to go down 10 feet to a car.
Okay.
Actually, you had to go down 10 feet to a platform, and then you had to take off your mask and your tank.
Okay.
And then put it back on, which was absolutely terrifying.
Sure. Yeah.
But when I first went under, and then I came back up, and when I came back up, my tank fell off.
Off the platform?
No, off my back as soon as I hit the surface. So I didn't ratchet it down right.
Oh, okay.
Actually, you don't take it off. You just flip the vest over.
Okay.
There's a vest, so you just flip it over and then flip it back on.
Okay.
But when I attached the tank at the surface, I didn't attach it right. So if it may have slipped off 10 feet under the water, and I would have been like, my tank's gone. Yeah. And probably died.
How deep was the quarry?
Oh, probably some of those go 200, 300 feet.
Well, yeah, but do you know if that tank would have
about
fallen
that.
off your back?
Oh, I don't know about that one.
Nobody's going to go get that thing.
I dove one that was, I forgot where it was at, but it was a spring. They hit a spring, and it filled the quarry so fast, they left all the equipment down below.
Wow.
They had to leave it. So when you scuba dive it and you go down, the first thing you see is the tip of a crane just sitting there in the water. It's amazing. It's like really spooky.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was cool.
Unfortunate, it didn't kill anybody, really. They just were able to drop
Yeah, I don't
out
think
of
it
there.
killed
No skeletons or anything. No doubloons.
No, I've never seen any
It's
skeletons.
that thread of treasure, but it's not really any treasure. Yeah.
And then my dad is ice dived. I did not ice dive. I chickened out on that one. But that was interesting.
Yeah.
My dad did that, and that was wild. He did a car wreck
Wow.
underneath the ice.
Wow. As a rescuer, as a
No,
recovery?
for fun.
Oh,
For
wow.
fun. Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Cars fall through ice, and then you go and you always gotta go diving for something. It's funner. It's better.
Sure.
Yeah, a wreck, tugboat,
Sure, why not?
sharks.
Why not?
Sleeping sharks in Cozumel.
Why not? Sleeping sharks.
Yeah, the cave of the sleeping sharks. You can go up and pet them.
There's sleeping sharks that you go pet.
Yeah, you can pet them because
They're full. Because that's why they're sleeping. Because they're full. They don't need to hunt. They're not.
Yeah. Did you know a shark can't? They can't. They have to constantly have water going through their gills.
I think that's a myth.
That is not a myth.
No. They do have to have water going through their gills, but I think it's a myth that they have to keep moving all the time.
No, they don't. Because in the cave of the sleeping sharks, you're right. They just sit still in
their
a
mouths
current.
open.
In a current,
Right.
and that's why they can sit still.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was pretty. But yeah, normal circumstances, they got to keep moving, but not if they're in a current. Which, ladies and gentlemen, is like an underwater river. See, I'm full of information.
Yeah. No, I thought I saw something on either Discovery or something where that idea that sharks never stop moving is and that they do actually rest and recover and recuperate.
Yeah. As long as it's in a current enough to bring the
and
water
it's
into their gills.
minimal. I mean, because obviously when they're not moving, they just don't need as much oxygen flow and things like that. So, lovely being cold-blooded. So,
Wonderful. So, did you dress up for anything for Halloween? Did you go out to the bar and dressed as anything, like a meter maid or a nurse?
Particularly cross-dressing? Is that the request or inquiry? Or?
Sir, there are men nurses also.
That's true. That was a fairly,
thank you very much.
fairly suggestively sexist comment I made. I'll get
yes,
that. But,
exactly.
But you did say meter maid.
Meter maid, yeah, but I did
not.
You're right.
Not
you're
meter
right.
reader.
Yeah, right. Okay.
So I just put it together, and I'm sorry that I jumped to it.
What would a male maid be?
Butler.
Oh yeah,
Meter butler.
Okay, I got it.
Guy gets out in a nice tuxedo, silver plate, brings your ticket to your car on a silver platter, and puts that up there on your windshield. That'd be great. Yeah, nice white glove treatment.
English.
Wouldn't leave
of course
any.
He's English.
Sure. Yeah. Monocle probably. Wearing the monocle.
Yeah.
That'd be all right. Yeah.
Any other stereotypes we can throw in there?
Sure. Yeah. So no, I particularly avoided Halloween party type situations, but I did end up at one on Thursday night at a place called Red's in Algoma, Wisconsin, and got to do some comedy, and I got to sing with the nephew of a guy I've known for many years, and I didn't even know, but this kid hosts an open mic in this town called Algoma, Wisconsin, and his name is Jerry Dujinski, and Jerry is quite a showman, quite a performer. And we had a great opportunity to sing some songs together.
What'd you sing?
He wrote. I don't quite remember. We did sing a Neil Young song. That was
Were you
interesting.
drinking?
No, it was just they were songs he wrote.
Oh, I got you. Okay.
And then I joined in with him on songs he wrote.
Oh, like choruses and stuff.
Yeah, we sang. He writes them specifically. They were written in such a way that allowed me to add something to the song.
Good.
And a couple people remarked to other people in the audience that were there, wow, how long have those two been working together? That sounds great. And we had met that day and that night. So it was a good time. We had a fun time. And we got to sing some good stuff. And
you like Garfunkel to his Paul.
Gosh, I hope not. Garfunkel's
that was incredible.
Wow.
I think that was an alien.
Was that alien technology?
I think so, yeah.
I think that was...
I think it was Sandy.
I thought it was the ghost of Jeff Lampton.
Could be. Could be.
Don't know what to think of the ghost.
I don't know what happened
Lampton.
there. So I dressed up as a 37-year-old janitor working a 16-hour shift Saturday.
Hey, there you go.
Yeah.
Well, you still got another chance on Wednesday. You can go out trick-or-treating on Wednesday, can't you?
I had the whole outfit, the badge that makes me look like a pedophile.
Did you push a garbage can around in
front
of you?
I did. I was actually going to take a picture of myself with a bag thrown in the dumpster, but didn't seem to... Kind of depressing, actually, that idea of that picture. So I chose not to take it.
Wow.
Yeah, but I was dressed. I was ready to roll.
That's good. Yeah, I don't know. Are there any Halloween themed comedy shows coming up on Wednesday?
No, not that
really.
I'm aware of.
Right.
I did see a zombie bride, which was cool.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I saw a zombie bride and a zombie groom.
Was there a big celebration going on where you were pretending to be a janitor for?
Yeah, there was a shindig upstairs. I tried to muscle in there and say, "Hey, I'm a janitor," and they said, "Take out the garbage," so I did. But it was cool. They had a little shindig up there. There were some dressed people in cool costumes. Like I said, the bride zombie was cool.
Decent caterer.
No, they just had like pizza.